right. We have another episode of Wool Socks, Real People, where we've taken socks and sent them out to people, or we have people that have already worn our socks and we're interviewing them to see how they liked them. And today we're talking to Tony. This is my cousin that lives in Brooklyn, correct?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
All right. So, Tony, first things first, how did you like the socks?
I love the socks, but they're not really socks for me right now. They're slippers.
Yeah.
I wear them around. I wear them around the apartment. I live in a basement apartment in Brooklyn, and the floor gets a little cold.
Yeah.
So they're actually ideal for that. I haven't really had a chance to wear them out for two reasons. One is we're in the middle of a quarantine and I don't go out.
Right.
And the other is not really been that cold.
Oh.
So
all right.
We've had a couple of snow days, but really had a chance to really bundle up.
Yeah. Yeah.
So most of my experience is just sort of lounging with them around the apartment and staying warm.
Cool. Yeah, that's kind of been what everybody has been saying lately. It seems like we have had a mild winter, even here in Michigan. It's pretty chilly right now, but I would say the temperature's been like around 36 to 40 on most days. Yeah.
We rarely, we'll get a little bit of snow and it won't even keep. It just sort of vanishes very quickly. I think we had one snowstorm where I got snowed in, but I didn't have to go anywhere. So
yeah,
I just opened the door and then shut the door and went back to work. I get work from home, so.
Yeah, that's great. So when you put them on, I ask everyone this question: when you put them on, were they itchy?
No.
All right, because
to be fair, the first thing I did was like, "Oh, wool socks. I'm gonna."
You're gonna hate them,
these aren't
right?
bad. I can wear these. I can wear these around the apartment. So
yeah, and I think that's a misconception, is that they're all going to be itchy. So I don't want to spend my money purchasing them, because why?
No, they weren't at all. The only problem I have is they get a little too warm. I'm like, after a while, I get like, okay, now I got to air my feet out because it's too warm now. So.
Yeah. So, I sent you a variety of them because your mom was like, yeah, he does walking. He's in the basement, and so I was like, I'm not really sure what to do here, so I'm just gonna send you a variety. So when I sent you the variety, did I send you like the little short sock that was like an ankle sock almost?
I didn't see that one. No, okay. I'm not sure.
So maybe I didn't, because I wasn't.
I think they're all long socks.
Yeah.
They're 2 or 3 pair. So.
Yes. Yeah. So like the really thick one, we call those the lumberjack. I wear those for slippers. Yeah,
well, that's the one I've got out and I'm wearing. So.
Yeah.
Although they make me slide a little bit on the floor. So.
Yeah, I know. I noticed that too. Yeah, because we have like vinyl flooring in our house. So. Yep. So you got to be careful.
Yeah.
We don't need no slip and falls.
Yeah.
Because you said you're getting old there. So.
Yep. Well, that's the last thing I need is slip and fall. So.
Yeah.
Add to my other issues.
So then we went into if they're itchy. I didn't know if you knew this or not, but they're moisture wicking. So when your foot does sweat, it should pull it away from that and hold in the sock instead of being on your foot. So it's a really great property of wool. And then also odor resistant. So yes, I know, totally weird to talk about, but it is a property of wool.
Well, wool can be kind of take on its own odor after it gets wet. I've had an old wool coat that sometimes I used to get on the subway, and I'd step on the subway, and then I would step back off the subway. I'll wait till the car's not so full. I smell like a big wet dog.
Aw, yeah. And then the other thing is it doesn't catch fire. It only smolders.
Ah.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
So I make the joke that if you really didn't like them and you tried to burn them, you couldn't. You couldn't do that.
You'd have to find some other use.
Yes. In your garden, did you know that people put it in their garden for like planting and stuff?
Oh,
it holds that moisture. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That would be nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's natural, so
right.
Sort of organic.
Yes, and so then when we'll go into like what you do, but first I'll say that I had saw on Facebook that you were quarantining in the Catskill Mountains. Remember when I sent you that message? Like,
yes,
hey.
yeah. I have in fact, I'm going up this weekend. I'm getting out, but my friend who lives there, it's his birthday this weekend.
Nice.
So he's invited. I'm taking a couple of days off, and he's invited a small core of us just to get together and do social distancing. We'll be that close. But he's got a beautiful place up there. Most of my friends that worked and lived here in the city over the last 20 years have very slowly started to buy places and move up there. We're all beginning to think about retirement. So
yeah,
that looks to be
not you.
You'd be. I've only got 2 more years and I pension out.
Really?
I mean, I will probably work longer than that, but I'm eligible under my city pension in 2 years. So
yeah,
I think I need to work a little bit longer because I took a very long vacation in Europe.
Yes, you did.
I need to build my pension up a little bit more for those years I was gone.
So are you back? I don't know if you mind saying what you do there in the city.
Oh, it's not that I mind. It's boring and it's sort of. I work for the city. I work for the Department of Information Technology and Telecommunications.
That's not boring.
We're basically the city's tech agency. I work in the financial area. I'm essentially a contract analyst. I'm analyze the big contracts that come in from various vendors with the other team. We look at them and we determine whether the city's getting a good price, whether it's not getting a good price, what some alternatives are, what some of the issues are. So strategic sourcing is essentially what it's called. And I've been in government. I worked before I went to Europe. I worked for the city for about 12 or 13 years in IT management, and so that's sort of my long history of experience in government has been heavily tech oriented. Well, that does not sound boring to me. But it can be really, when you're combing through spreadsheets, looking at price points and licensing fees, you're like, what am I doing? So what are the chances that the city would need maybe, let's just say, wool socks for every employee for their walk to work? Well, the PD might need that. Okay. You might, or the fire department. All right. In the middle of the winter, those guys up on the, hosing down those buildings and covered in ice. I would imagine they have to be covered in wool. Yeah. Like, what the heck? Yeah, who do I have to call? Yeah. I don't know. My boss's husband is a lieutenant in the fire department. So. Oh, yes. See? Always thinking of something. I mean, I don't know. Wool, it has many purposes. So I think it's cool. I don't find that to be boring because, I just don't. I like research, and you ask my husband and he'll tell you that, if there's a business decision to be made for us, it's usually myself, his mom, and I, and they give it to me to do the research and then come back and get all the data and say, okay, let's make a decision. So I totally dig that. I'd be good. I like it at this point too in my career. What I had done before when I worked for the city was I had started as a business analyst, moved into a project manager, and then eventually became a director of a division. of people and managed large projects. And while it was fun and exciting to be a director in New York City in those days, it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
And so I'm very happy as I come back for my second sort of run with the city to be an analyst. And I've got 2 or 3 analysts that work for me, but not the 60, 70, 80, 100 people I had before.
Oh, so, yeah. That would be a little bit tough, I would say.
It can be.
70 people.
It can be. And a lot, and depending on the people, I had particular challenges because a lot of the employees I had come to me through a program through the Federation for the Handicapped, and a lot of them had developmental issues, physical issues, some of them psychological issues.
Oh yeah.
But it was part of the city's program to reach out and bring people in those sorts of situations into full employment.
Sure.
And, we did well. We managed. We were a hodgepodge crew, but we managed. We sort of carved out our own space.
Yeah, it was probably kind of empowering too. You know.
Yeah, it was. It made me feel good.
Yeah. I'm just thinking about like 60 to 70 people, remembering all their names.
It took me a while. That's
what was at the top of my mind.
Quite a while. And I started out when I first started the job. I had roughly 120 people, and then through a series of reorganizations and through part of what we were working on, my staff probably shrunk down by the time I left to around 30. But what we were working on was we were training these people in developmental roles, and we were rolling them off and moving them. As my unit shrank, they moved into other areas, actually were promoted. Most of my people were promoted. So it was sort of a win-win sort of thing that you get in government, where we were helping people be fully employed and benefit to the city, and at the same time sort of honing the efficiency and bringing down the cost of the unit that we worked in. So
that sounds really great. That sounds cool. And you would just be like, "Hey, you, it's good working with you."
Yeah. Well, when I first started to do it, they were nervous because they thought I was going to fire them all.
Aww.
And I was like, no, I promise you, no one's getting fired. Yes, we're going to shrink. Yes, we're going to be smaller, but you're all going to have jobs, and you're all going to have better jobs, and you're all going to make more money. But you gotta trust me that we got to work on this methodically together and do it right. And they, with the exception of a handful, they all rolled off and did better things at the agency. And then shortly after that, I left. I kind of put my money where my mouth is and said, "I did my job, guys. I'm out of here too."
Aww.
And I went on vacation in Europe.
Yeah. I mean, what a vacation to have, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's great. I love it. And I love that they were empowering people like that. You know, being from where we're from, we don't have so much of that diversity, obviously, in Frankenmuth.
Yeah.
Like, tiny little town. So I love to hear stuff like that. So the next part that I'll get into is how we know each other.
Okay.
We're related.
Yes.
Whether you want to admit that or not.
And if we were working in government, this would be considered something that would raise eyebrows as possibly being a conflict of interest. So yeah, I know. We're not that big of a company. You're not that big of a company, so we won't worry about it. And you're not.
I'm not. I'm not. And my husband works here, and my mother-in-law, and my husband's cousin. So, we're good. We're tiny.
No conflict of interest.
Yeah.
I can assure the conflict of interest board, everything is fine.
Yes. So I just wanted to let our viewers know that my mother and your mother are sisters.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And that's how we know each other. And you have been in New York since probably I was born.
No, not quite that long. I came here in the late 90s.
Okay. So I was a teenager. Yeah. But I didn't ever remember you not being there. So isn't that crazy? Weird.
Well, I was in Lansing at the Capitol from the early 90s to the late 90s. And then I went to New York around 97.
Yeah, so I would have been 17. I would have been graduating. So, I didn't care about anybody but myself back then. So
yeah.
Let's just be real. I was 17.
That was it was 96 that I worked for the Senate. I took a leave from the Senate, and I ran that big campaign, the bear campaign that everybody used to talk about. They used to call me the bear guy, but nobody. I don't think anybody talks about it anymore. So.
I'll have to research that and see what you're talking about.
So, moved here in 97. I went to, the first thing I did when I got here was I worked for the Chamber of Commerce. And I was actually building housing here in Brooklyn.
Wow.
Low to the chamber had a program called Partnership that took tax reverted land from the city, grants from the state, and paired that with a builder, and we orchestrated the construction of development where we would control the cost and keep the cost down so that local families who would normally be priced out of housing in a lot of these neighborhoods in Brooklyn, right, could afford to buy in and continue to continue to live and stay in their neighborhoods. Gentrification is a big problem here in New York. When a neighborhood starts to take off, unfortunately, very quickly, the people that have lived there for a long, long time can't afford to stay there. So it's a challenge. So that's, and then I went to work for the city, working as an analyst, and I was in the city till 2012. At that point, I went to Europe and was in Europe for 7 years, and now I'm back.
Well, I'm glad to have you back because I like to know what's going on. I like to know what's going on with our family, and I'm always asking your mom what's up with Tony. So I like it that you're here, and not that I didn't know. Your mom would call my mom every once in a while. Right now, I don't think they have too many conversations. I don't know. They're getting to be old ladies, Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. They can't hear each other. I don't know.
I don't know. So I try to talk to her every week at least.
Yeah.
But she's the problem is my mom. She's sort of so shut in at home too. It doesn't get out. So
yeah, I worry about her being by herself a lot. And I always tell my husband, I'm like, I just need to go over there and check on her. But then I see she posts something.
Well, I always used to say to my friends, they're like, well, don't you call your mother just to check on her? I said, no, I just look on Facebook, and as long as she's posting, I know she's okay. Yeah.
She
posts all day long. So, exactly. In fact, there have been a couple occasions where I've said, I haven't seen Mom post for a while. I better call her.
Yes, exactly. Isn't that's so funny that you got the same thing. So I love that you really liked the socks a lot. We do Rhinebeck every year, the New York Sheep and Wool Festival. We vend there, and then we also pick up raw wool there. So farmers in New York bring their freshly sheared wool to us, and then we bring it back to Michigan and we process it. Yep. And I'm sure you know that Rhinebeck is a pretty big festival, like 60,000 people.
I've never been to any of the big festivals up there. I've always never been up visiting But I probably this summer, hopefully. I mean, the problem is that I got back from Europe and started to work, and we went into lockdown, and it's been very difficult. They're not really having big festivals. They're not doing a lot of big things. This past summer, I was in Woodstock and went to a couple things there, but they were, small and social distance. They were doing something in the city with a big pavilion and with music and hot dogs. And they had these benches. There was a place as big as a football field, and they had the benches. They had to be at least 30, 40 feet apart. So I was, and they had a band, and so it was a fair number of people, but you had to walk a long way to get a hot dog.
Aww. Yeah, well, the show was canceled last year, of course, and we haven't heard anything about October, because everything's kind of up in the air on what's going to happen. And, we hope that things can kind of turn around and we can go, because that's such a big festival, a lot of people, and it's really great to see everybody. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of important people in the wool industry that go to that festival. That is the festival. So yeah, you need to check it out, because it's there's so many things to buy and see. It's just really neat.
Yeah, but there's several of those. So my friend was telling me they have a big garlic festival up there too.
Oh. So
they're like, you got to come to the garlic festival. Like, okay.
Yeah. Hopefully they have a mint stand too, huh? Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yeah. It's a beautiful place. I have our house booked for the show, our Airbnb. So we're just kind of waiting to see what happens. We stayed in the mountains 2 years ago, because my sister goes with me now. Mm-hmm. And so her and I drove. She flies to Michigan, and then we drive from Michigan to New York. Uh-huh. And we did it all in one day. And then we tried to find our hotel. Well, I didn't really know where I was booking a hotel. Yeah, in the mountains.
Yeah. And in the middle of the summer, that can be tough. It's a seasonal area, so.
Yeah, it was crazy, but beautiful. I mean, we love it there. So.
Well, my friend's place is up on one of the mountains, and I call it Olympus, because the house just sits up there, and you look right down into the valley.
Yeah,
pretty impressive view. So
yeah. Well, I get to see some pretty cool places. I'm really fortunate. Is these different sheep and wool festivals. I mean, they're all in these beautiful locations most times. We're in central New York, usually in June, and then Rhinebeck's in the fall. So I'm in New York twice a year. And even central New York is valleys and hills, so it's absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And we were in Vermont last year.
Oh.
Ooh.
Yeah, Vermont is nice.
Oh, I was oh my gosh. Even in quarantine, we got the really good farm to table food, we were able to do that. But, yeah. So I thank you so much for talking to me.
My pleasure.
I know it can be very, you want to talk about socks? Yeah, I really do want to talk about socks.